Now, the second part of this investigative piece is tomorrow, and it contains the response from the Ghana Highways Authority and concerns raised about the issue by Ghana's Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Now, history is being made in Zimbabwe, where voting is still underway. The BBC correspondent reported a while ago that long queues have formed at polling stations in the first general election since long-serving ruler Robert Mugabe was removed from office. It is expected to be a close contest between incumbent Emmerson Mnangagwa and leader of the MDC Alliance, Nelson Chamisa. The MDC is an electoral bloc of 7 political parties in Zimbabwe who are mostly splinters from original movement for democratic change. Now, former President Robert Mugabe said in a press conference that he will not vote for his successor, but polls give Mr. Mnangagwa, who has the ruling ZANU-PF party, a narrow lead over Mr. Chamisa. That said, Mr. Chamisa belongs to a younger generation, most of whom are expected to vote in this election. I'll give you a little bit of information about the Zimbabwean elections and a little bit of graphics very soon. But Angela Jimo is a freelance journalist in Zimbabwe. She joins me over the line. Well, we don't have Angela at the moment, but let me take you through the number of people who have registered to vote in these graphics now. We're looking at 5,635,706 people who have registered to vote or to a new voters roll. Of course, Zimbabwe hasn't voted in a very long time, and the opposition still has doubt over the accuracy of this figure provided to them. Now, 43.5% of the registered voters are under 35. And they obviously fall within the generation of Mr. Chamisa there, who is challenging Mr. Mnangagwa there as the main opponent in this election. Now, we're looking at for 10,000 polling stations, and it's been 60 years since EU and US observers were allowed to monitor the election. Speaking of which, our own former President John Mahama is in that country as part of those who are monitoring this particular election. In terms of candidature for this election, 23 of them so far, 19 are men and 4 of them are women. But it is expected that the tighter contest will actually be between these two that you see here. The leader of the governing ZANU-PF, Emmerson Mnangagwa, and leader of the MDC Alliance, Nelson Chamisa. Those are those two people there, right there in your view. It's suspected that the context will mainly be between them. Actually, the talk and the pundits, everybody has said that, or have said that the election is really between these two people, even though there are 23 candidates. Our own former President John Mahama, who is in Zimbabwe monitoring the election there, we're hoping to get to speak to him, but we have not been successful at this point, but we will keep trying. So that is it. The voting is still ongoing, and we will be monitoring it closely to bring you up to speed. Unfortunately, we have lost Angela Jimo, who is a freelance journalist in Zimbabwe, who wants to give us some updates on exactly what's happening on the ground. But we're keeping our eyes close on that elections ongoing in Zimbabwe.